I'm very honoured to have the wonderful Silvia Collatina with me and Giovanni Lombardo Radice with us as well. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you too.
Yeah, pleasure.
I just thought it would be a nice opportunity for you to share any recollections that you have of working with Lucio Fulci. If we can start with you, Silvia.
Yes. I was very young, of course. I was 9, and with the house by the cemetery. But I can definitely tell you that it as if it was yesterday. So it has been a very peculiar experience. And as far as I'm concerned, I remember everything. And Fulcio, with me and Giovanni Frezza, who is the other boy, was a bit rude. Let's say, yes, he was, but I didn't care a lot. For me, he was as a teacher, a school teacher. So we were very professional and not disturbed by his behavior. But I know that he was very. He admired us children because we were different from the adults. Perhaps he was a little bit a child, and my experience on the set was something I can't get rid of, and I still feel in my in taste of the blood in my nostrils, and I have everything in my memory, and I'm proud I took part in that movie. And Fulcio was a big master, and we felt it. We felt it was a big one, and everyone respected him. And when he said, for instance, okay, this shot is good, we were, oh my God, it's good. He told us that it was good. So I know I have a very big respect to this man. And when I saw this Lucio talking, Fulci's talk the first time, I nearly cried. Mm-hmm. It was like that. Yeah. It was like that. He was a big man, a big director, and I feel touched. Yeah. I really am.
Cool. And how about yourself, Giovanni?
When I was cast in the movie, people kept telling me, "Oh, you will have a hard time. He has a bad temper. He screams a lot. He doesn't like actors. Beware," and so on. So I was a bit, I was quite young, and it was my third movie, only my third movie. But I soon realized that with me, he was an angel. I mean, never shouted, never complained, never. I can say he liked me. I was the only one he was taking to dinner after shooting. To me, it was very pleasant. He was a very cultivated man. Liked to talk. He was very respectful of the fact that I was coming from the stage, and we were discussing other directors. He had been an assistant to famous Italian director Luchino Visconti, which was a favorite of mine. So we talked a lot about him and his movies and literature and different things. But it's true that he had a bad temper, because I witnessed many great scenes with shouting, throwing things, tantrums, but not all of them were real, because once he told me, look, you are a theater director, and maybe one day you will want to direct a movie, so I'll give you a tip. And the tip is, with production people, you always have to make a big scene every 2 or 3 days, even out of nothing. This fork smells, which means nothing, but whatever, because otherwise, if you don't, they will get sloppy, they won't give you what you need. If you make a scene every 2 or 3 days, they will always be on the verge, on the edge, so you'll get what you want. So not all of his scenes were real, but some were.
How was your experiences of that in terms of, that perception of Fulci being, did you ever experience the bad temper?
A bit. Yeah, a bit. We were a little bit, not scared, but, when you admire a person, he counts a lot. And so we were, we wanted to do everything he wanted to us to do. So, for instance, we were very professional. I can tell you, even if we were very young, for us it has been a great engagement. I mean, I don't know, that if I try to remember what I perceived at the time, I felt I was an actress. I felt that it was a job. But we had a different consideration compared to the adults. So he was a bit rude also to us. He used to scream and shout. I cannot deny it. And once I did, he shouted at me because I wasn't capable to cry, because I was not so involved in Anya Perioni's death, because I didn't give a damn over, So I couldn't cry when I saw that mannequin in front in the windscreen in the shop. And so he started shouting at me, and I was definitely scared, and I started crying so naturally that I couldn't stop. Thereafter, Antonella Fulci, his daughter, she was 19, she was on the set with her husband, and she told me, don't care what he says, because in deep he's a child, so he is capable to be a child as you are now, so don't give a damn on what he says. And I understood that he was fragile somehow. So it was very demanding, but at the same time I felt he was a bit childish somehow. So that let me.
And another thing to be said about Fulci, I mean, he was a sad man. He was a sad man, frustrated, but also he was frustrated because he wasn't considered as highly as he would have liked to in Italy. He kept saying, oh, in France they consider me a genius, a master, and here in Italy, blah, 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 blah. But also he was sad because he had terrible tragedies in his life. His wife was diagnosed with cancer. She committed suicide, and the diagnosis was wrong. She had no cancer, so there was a big tragedy in his life. And Camilla fell. His daughter fell from a horse, and had very great problems. I don't know if she was crippled or I don't know, but anyway, it was a very serious matter. So he wasn't a happy man. He wasn't a happy man.
But he was also very kind, wasn't he? I watched one of the interviews, and there was a lot of people that were saying he was also a very kind man. So, did you?
If he wanted to, yes, if he wanted to.
Okay, if we have any questions about experiences working with Fulci, please raise some hands now.
I was going to say to Johnny, when we were making A Day of Violence together, you told a wonderful story about you and Antonietta in the back of the van when you were when you met with the strong American joint. Do you feel that you can share that with anyone? Because I love that story.
The story is that one day we had to do the scene when we were coming back as zombies. So we had this incredibly long makeup session, like 6 hours, for the zombie makeup. which ended by putting marmalade on our face to give the idea of decomposing. So if there was a bee around, you were lost. So we were shot in a van, waiting to shoot. And the waiting went on and on and on and on and on. So, I mean, we were like, we couldn't eat, we couldn't drink because it was, our mouth was distorted. I mean, the makeup was a torture. So at a point, Antonella said, okay, why don't we relax and we make a joint? I mean, she was addicted to joints in that moment of her life. She was always with some, she was followed on set by big black guys with gold chains, I mean, pushers. And anyway, so she made a joint, and this joint was the highest possible thing. So we freaked out. We were looking at each other screaming because we were with zombie makeup, so we were there, like this. Then we calmed down at a point, and I was really pissed because we had been waiting for hours. They can't do, they must have a schedule which implies not waiting for hours in this condition. So I opened the door of the van, ready to make a scene, and and there was a young lady with a small children, and the child enthusiastically started crying, "Mommy, mommy, the creature, the creature!" and he wanted to be photographed with me holding him, and so it ended peacefully.
And Silvia, you told me something on Thursday that a lot of people might not know about your hand.
Oh, well, yes, and I want to tell you another thing.
Okay.
You see the version of Freudenstein, how he appears in the movie. But when I was inside when we were having the makeup, we were preparing ourselves, I saw the first version of Freudenstein, which was definitely different and perhaps even better. Because if you look at him, you see there is a mask, okay? Instead, it was an unskinny version, just muscles. And so I was shocked when I saw this test. There was different test pictures on the wall, and according to me, and you saw just the eyes, because all the muscles and just the eye on the face. It was definitely, according to me, even creepier than and disturbing than this version. But I really love this. It's my dad, so I can't speak bad about him. And I don't know why they didn't decide to choose the first version. And but Freudenstein is an icon, and we love him anyway. And yes, I had two roles in the movie. May, the child, and the left hand of Freudenstein was mine, and nothing to do with May. It was another role. I was his left hand. He detached from the body of a child, perhaps, don't know. And I killed lots of people, and so I'm very proud I did it. So I experienced myself killing someone once in life. It's useful, perhaps. And so I killed Anya Peroni, the babysitter, and Dagmar Lassander. So the hand you see is mine.
So you get to save and kill people in one film.
Yes.
You should have killed Anya Peroni for real.
I know, that's why. I know. Sorry. I was not, I didn't get
one
well
of
with
the worst whores. in cinema history. She was bedding Berlusconi, and
Right.
we
Berlusconi
know.
was putting her everywhere.
I knew the time she was in for that. That's why when she
I
died,
did.
I was not
I
touchy.
made a long period TV miniseries with Lucio Tessari, a wonderful Italian director. I don't know if you know him. One of the fathers of Italian westerns, and when it was a very long production with a leading role for a young lady who should be the most beautiful ever, whatever. And the TV, who was in Berlusconi's hand, at that time in Craxi's hand,
Sì.
the Socialist Party, and she was bedding this Craxi guy, and they tried to impose her, saying to Tessari, if you don't have her, the work will not be done. And so he said, okay, let's not do the work, and I'll have a press conference saying why we don't have the work. So, I mean, she was really bad.
And she was not capable to act at
No,
all.
not at all.
That's
No,
why
no.
when I had to kill her, we were on the staircase, and she was crying because she was in the basement with Freud standing in front of her. She was not crying, like screaming and saying, there is a monster in front of you, why don't you cry? Why don't you, are you not scared at all? And so when I start cutting her throat, she didn't scream. And also, that's not possible. She was like that, she was,
A potato.
okay. Perhaps, yes.
A potato with teeth and ass.
Would act better. Potato would act better. Beautiful eyes and just that. And so she didn't cry at all. And we had to repeat the scene again because she was not capable to act at all. She was there. We know why.
Yeah. Have we got any other questions out there before I let these lovely people go and do some signing?
Hi, Silvia. How did you get along with your other child actor,
Giovanni?
Giovanni?
Giovanni, we were very close friends, and I met him also in 2011 in the reunion of House by the Cemetery in Indianapolis in the U.S. And he was a very, very good actor. I admire him for his job. And unfortunately, he has been dubbed in a very awful way by a girl. And he has this disturbing voice. And lots of fans used to tell me, yeah, he was very good, but what gets impressed is the voice. And so it ruins everything. But I can assure you that it was very good, and Fulci had a good consideration with him, and he did also Manhattan Baby. I would have liked to be in the movie with him, but I was red hair and couldn't be his sister in the movie. So Benedicta Boccoli was the other girl, and I preferred anyway remain May forever instead of ruin the idea of being another one. But we had very good time together, and now he's an engineer and lives in the U.S. But he's definitely out of the contest. He's out of. He doesn't act anymore. He's not interested. But he was a very good actor. I can tell you I have a good relationship with him. Okay.
Any other questions? No, we all good? We'll let these lovely people go and have a break. And as I said, tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, we'll have a more in-depth conversation with Silvia, and then at 5 with Giovanni. Until then, as I said, they'll be doing some signing outside for a little while if you want to get anything signed. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.